The following is a paid presentation for the Casting Couch, brought to you by APAC, the African American Performing Arts Community Theater.
Hi, I'm Shalisa Chandler, your announcer for the Casting Couch. On today's show, we discuss infidelity with clinical psychologist Dr. Wade Silverman. Stay tuned, you don't want to miss it.
The Casting Couch is sponsored by APAC, building better communities through theater. Trio on the Bay, where you dine, drink, and dance. And UTV, the genuine urban voice. APAC completes its 2012 season with Amir Baraka's The Dutchman, opening September 5th at the African Heritage Culture Arts Center in Miami, Florida. For showtimes and information, call 305-456-0287 or visit apac.com. Come see what you've been missing.
Lights, camera, action. Are you a high school graduate ready to go to the next level? Do you know that jobs in the film industry pay high salaries and are among the fastest growing professions in the nation? Earn while you learn through hands-on experience and paid internship opportunities. Urban Television School of Communication and Broadcasting is offering a certificate program in film production. For enrollment information, contact Penny Emanuel 305-907-9421 or 786-718-7076.
Trio on the Bay, Miami's newest waterfront restaurant, voted as the best outdoor dining by My City Eats. Trio on the Bay serves delectable new American cuisine and is located at 1601 79th Street Causeway, North Bay Village. For reservations, call 305-866-1234 or visit us at the web at trioonthebay.com. Trio on the Bay, where you dine, drink, and dance. Welcome to the Casting Couch. I'm your host, Keith Harrell, and we're coming to you live from the Trio Studios right here in North Bay Village. Today's show is going to be one that is very important. Usually we're talking about entertainment, but today's shows we're going to be talking about infidelity and also domestic violence. And no better else person to talk about these issues than my guest. For over 40 years, he has provided psychological services to adults, families, adolescents, and children. He is the past president of the Florida Psychological Association, the Dade County Psychological Association. He has been a professor and chief of psychology at Emory University Medical School. He's the chairman and psychological department at Barry University and a visiting professor at Nova Southeastern University. Here to help us and assist us with relationship issues is our guest, Dr. Wade Silverman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Silverman. I appreciate you for coming on. Woo! You have a lot of credentials.
A lot of years, you collect them.
Yes. I mean, for over 4 decades, you've been providing services to folks here in South Florida and possibly Chicago and some other places.
That's correct.
Yeah, that is a lot of experience, and that's what I was looking for when I wanted somebody to address these issues. I needed somebody who knows what's going on out there. So we're going to get into it a little bit, but let South Florida, if they don't already know a little bit about yourself.
Well, I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and traveled to Ohio for my graduate work at Kent State. Did a postdoc in Chicago, postdoctoral fellowship, and I liked it so much I stayed there for 15 years. And then the opportunity came up to go to Atlanta at Emory University Medical School, and I was there for 7 or 8 years. And South Florida came calling, so I went down to South Florida. Was in academia. I was in academia for 3 or 4 years. Then decided I wanted to go into private practice, and I've been in private practice for almost 20 years in Miami.
Wow, wow. So being here in Miami, I'm quite sure it's a little different from other parts of the country because of the diversity a little bit. You have the Caribbean influence, and of course you have the American influence, but with all those different folks and all those different cultures down here, it kind of gets into like a mixing salad or a mixing bowl. Huh?
Yeah, it's a very interesting point, and you need to be aware of balancing cultural values versus what's right and what's wrong for couples and families. In some cultures, the man is the head of the household. That's a little difficult for us modern people to accept. We usually think of equal relationships. So you have to have a balance. You have to respect the culture of others, but at least move them a little bit more towards maybe modern mainstream orientation.
Let's talk a little bit about marriage. And I've always said, and I could be wrong, that the institution of marriage has not evolved to today's standards of what we consider a relationship. Before, you had those vows for better or worse, rich or poor, and now it's a little different, seems like.
Well, we have evolved, but I think we've evolved in a very positive way. When I grew up in the 50s, there were very strict relationships between men and women, and you see that reflected in the culture on television, where the man worked and the woman stayed home and looked pretty and took care of the house. Somewhere along in the late 60s, early 70s, it became impossible economically to have a single household. Women went out into the workforce, and although it's still not equal, men are sharing much more of the domestic responsibilities, and I think that's a very good thing. Even more importantly, we now know statistically that those families in which a father actively participates in the raising of his children is a much, much healthier household and produces much more well-adjusted children. So if we give up longevity for quality, that's a pretty nice balance.
That's interesting that you say that, longevity versus quality, because like you're saying, back in the 50s, people would stand together even though they wasn't seeing eye to eye in the household. And people on the outside will look at it and say, hey, this family has everything together, but up under that house and up under that roof, there was turmoil going on, and the kids experienced it.
Yes, yes. And, I respect people's values who say when you make that vow is forever. And a good or even an average therapist will never tell people whether to stay married or not to stay married. That's a legal question.
Right.
We work on the process of improving the relationship. And we don't make those decisions and shouldn't be in the middle of those decisions.
So it's more like the free will thing. It's like, hey, you have to make your own choices. I can only guide you in how to handle these situations.
Very good. Exactly.
Maybe I should go back to school and study psychology.
There you go.
Well, why is the divorce rate so high in America?
There are a lot of reasons. The first reason is that it's not easy for two different people to get along.
What?
and the second thing is people grow and evolve over time, and they may grow into different people, and the different people may not have the same values and interests in each other. And obviously the third thing is our laws have modernized so that you do not have to, it does not necessarily have to be ugly or extremely difficult to get a divorce. And finally, society views it in a more acceptable way.
Right. Now, I look at TV and the media a lot, and it seems like there's almost an adversarial type of attitude towards men and women with each other when they're in a relationship. You know, does that kind of like plays a part in that where, you know, it's me against you, but we're in this relationship?
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't have to be. And as with all stereotypes, there is a little bit of truth, but mostly false. Men and women tend to have different interests, but they can be complementary to each other. Men and women can think differently, and yet that if each respects the other's way of thinking, they can get along more effectively. A lot of what you see, that adversarial stuff, is bad relationships. It might be good for comedy, but it's not a good relationship. Making hostile remarks or disrespectful remarks to your spouse is just, or friend, is
Right.
not an effective way of getting along.
Well, thank you, Doc. Thank you. Now, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want to ask Dr. Silverman a couple of questions. Once a cheater, always a cheater? And we're going to find out who possibly cheats more, men or women. See you in 2. APAC completes its 2012 season with Amir Baraka's The Dutchman, opening September 5th at the African Heritage Culture Arts Center in Miami, Florida. For showtimes and information, call 305-456-0287 or visit apac.com. Come see what you've been missing.
Lights, camera, action. Are you a high school graduate ready to go to the next level? Do you know that jobs in the film industry pay high salaries and are among the fastest growing professions in the nation? Earn while you learn through hands-on experience and paid internship opportunities. Urban Television School of Communication and Broadcasting is offering a certificate program in film production. For enrollment information, contact Penny Emanuel 305-907-9421 or 786-718-7076.
Tree on the Bay, Miami's newest waterfront restaurant, voted as the best outdoor dining by My City Eats. Tree on the Bay serves delectable new American cuisine and is located at 1601 79th Street Causeway, North Bay Village. For reservations, call 305-866-1234 or visit us at the web at treeonthebay.com. Tree on the Bay, where you dine, drink, and dance. And we're back. So, Doc, the real huge question that everybody wants to know out there. Once a cheater, always a cheater?
No, not at all. No, not at all. There are a variety of reasons for cheating. The only once a cheater, always a cheater is the sort of sociopathic personality, but that would show up in also other aspects. Essentially, a sociopathic person is someone who doesn't have any morals, will do whatever they need to do and get whatever they want to get. But other than that, that's absolutely not the truth.
Okay. All right. Well, now, there is a misconception that they say, as far as infidelity is concerned, that men do it more than women. Is that true?
Well, historically, it is true. But that is only because men are more frequently out of the house than women are and have a greater opportunity. But as the economic role of the woman evolves, it's getting towards equality.
Wow. Wow. Well, that's what we're striving for, equality. But
You said it, not me.
Wow. Well, I asked this before about the state of marriage, and I think it's a beautiful institution, but do you see it now with all of the high divorce rate? Do you see it where the institution of marriage is doomed?
No, I don't think so. If you look at the statistics, people are happier who are married. People live longer who are married. When a marriage works, it's just like a great friendship. It's beautiful. People take care of each other, watch each other's back, share their problems with each other. So not at all. I don't think that the institution of marriage is doomed.
And each person has to really buy into it.
Yes, and it has to evolve into a partnership, a modern conceptualization of what marriage is, and that's two people who are equal and get along with each other, and each has 50% of the vote.
Wow. Yeah. Makes sense. It makes sense. You hear that, people? So you have to get together and make it equality. Equality. Let's shift a little bit and talk about a more important issue that's plaguing America now, which is domestic violence. We see it all the time. Sometimes we see it with these stars, and it's really amplified. But it's happening every day in households all the time. What is some of the reasons why domestic violence occurs? Let's talk about the aggressor.
Well, let me say, first of all, I want to make it clear that these views are my own. I'm not associating with any kind of organization because my views may be somewhat controversial than others. From the data that I have read, the reports that I have read, the studies that I have read, there is no cure for the aggressor or the perpetrator other than for them to know that there is zero tolerance. And in my opinion, the most effective intervention for someone who is a domestic violator is jail. Unfortunately, the treatment programs that we currently have not been that successful. But people understanding that there are real consequences for their behavior, legal consequences of behavior, does serve as a deterrence.
Right. So rehabilitation is possible?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good news. That's good news. I had a friend of mine recently told me about it, and had no clue. Had no clue. She went about her day. You saw no signs of it. And when I heard about it, I was like, wow, it hurt me. To know that this woman who I always looked at as being a very powerful person could be, substituted. So I said, I got to say something about it, got to talk about it, and address the issues.
Well, it is a tragedy, and people lead public lives and private lives. And the one thing that I can say to the victims is if they don't intervene, it escalates. And that's a fact. I mean, we've studied enough to know that. So it needs to be stopped for own person safety. And you understand, because you do this as a professional, the first thing that you do is you separate the two people when you talk to them individually and attempt to not only calm them down, but offer alternative ways of handling the situation. Right. And unless they control themselves, they need to be isolated.
Exactly. And sometimes, I guess it takes that person to say enough is enough, because oftentimes the victim will go back.
And it is the only way. Otherwise, it escalates.
Right. And it frustrates the system itself sometimes when you have to go to repeat calls after repeat calls after repeat calls. And, you have to remind yourself that this person is in pain and probably fear for their life. And if we have to keep going back, just keep going back. But know that at some time or at some point, they're possibly going to say, hey, enough is enough.
And you may have to go back and forth 4 or 5 times, but you also may have saved that person's life.
Right. Now, for the children that experience this, what are some exercises that a parent who has fled from the domestic violence syndrome, but their children have seen it, what are some things that they can do in order to ensure that that cycle doesn't continue with them?
Well, they will need professional help. There's no child that isn't scarred by seeing and hearing that. And I don't necessarily mean individual therapy with the children. I mean the children and the victim all talking about it. And if you can bring the perpetrator in, I would do that also. although many times victims are too afraid to have the perpetrator even in the same room. But it works much more effectively to have that unit together and talk with them about how they want to cope with it.
Okay. All right. Well, Dr. Silverman, you have been very, very informative. Where can our audience, if they need to get in contact with you or anything like that, where can they go?
Well, I have two offices, one in Coral Gables across from the University of Miami, and I have one in Aventura on Ives Dairy Road. And they could just look up, if they're interested in some of my views and what I have to say, they can look up my website, wadesilverman.com, and it has all the information they need in case they want to contact me.
Awesome, awesome. And I will also put that on my page. As you can hear, my tweets are going on. So you'll also be able to see his information on my Facebook and Twitter page. So thank you, Dr. Wade Silverman, and we'll be back in 2 and 2.
APAC completes its 2012 season with Amir Baraka's The Dutchman, opening September 5th at the African Heritage Culture Arts Center in Miami, Florida. For showtimes and information, call 305-456-0287 or visit apac.com. Come see what you've been missing.
Camera, action. Are you a high school graduate ready to go to the next level? Do you know that jobs in the film industry pay high salaries and are among the fastest growing professions in the nation? Earn while you learn through hands-on experience and paid internship opportunities. Urban Television School of Communication and Broadcasting is offering a certificate program in film production. For enrollment information, contact Penny Emanuel 305-907-9421 or 786-718-7076.
Tree on the Bay, Miami's newest waterfront restaurant, voted as the best outdoor dining by My City Eats. Tree on the Bay serves delectable new American cuisine and is located at 1601 79th Street Causeway, North Bay Village. For reservations, call 305-866-1234 or visit us at the web at treeonthebay.com. Tree on the Bay, where you dine, drink, and dance. APAC completes its 2012 season with Amir Baraka's The Dutchman, opening September 5th at the African Heritage Culture Arts Center in Miami, Florida. For showtimes and information, call 305-456-0287 or visit apac.com. Come see what you've been missing. Tree on the Bay, Miami's newest waterfront restaurant, voted as the best outdoor dining by My City Eats. Tree on the Bay serves delectable new American cuisine and is located at 1601 79th Street Causeway, North Bay Village. For reservations, call 305-866-1234 or visit us at the web at treeonthebay.com. Tree on the Bay, where you dine, drink, and dance.
I was 7 when I told my father about that green bike. I saw it there in Woolworths with my mama one day inside the store window. I told my father about that bike every day. Green handlebars, green seat, green tires, white frame, chrome chain guard. My father surprised me one day. Tells me, "There's something down at Woolworth that belonged to you." So we hop on that train. Go down the Woolworth.
Honey, why don't you put your getaway glasses back on, okay? Or better yet, why don't you just go to your room just for a little bit and let Mommy and Papa talk, all right? Talking about me, you cussing more than every goddamn person.
Schools every 2 years. By the time I got to middle school, it was every year, and in the 4 years it takes to complete high school, I attended 5 different schools.
So you're a philosopher? Yes. Yes.
By the time I got to college, I already felt like I was a bit of an expert on public school education.
I think very deeply. I think very deeply. I think
I am a poemedian.
They know I am the solution for America.
I have $2 to my name. How do I feel? Like changing my name.
What's a poemedian? Someone who stands before an audience and delivers poemedy.
I have $2 to my name. I feel like changing my game from good guy to hood guy. Rather than ski mask and egg.
Tree on the Bay, Miami's newest waterfront restaurant, voted as the best outdoor dining by My City Eats. Tree on the Bay serves delectable new American cuisine and is located at 1601 79th Street Causeway, North Bay Village. For reservations, call 305-866-1234 or visit us at the web at treeonthebay.com. Tree on the Bay, where you dine, drink, and dance. APAC completes its 2012 season with Amir Baraka's The Dutchman, opening September 5th at the African Heritage Culture Arts Center in Miami, Florida. For showtimes and information, call 305-456-0287 or visit apac.com. Come see what you've been missing.
Lights, camera, action. Are you a high school graduate ready to go to the next level? Do you know that jobs in the film industry pay high salaries and are among the fastest growing professions in the nation? Earn while you learn through hands-on experience and paid internship opportunities. Urban Television School of Communication and Broadcasting is offering a certificate program in film production. For enrollment information, contact Penny Emanuel 305-907-9421 or 786-718-7076.
Welcome back to the Casting Couch. Again, we just want to stress that domestic violence is a very serious thing. If you feel that you are a victim of domestic violence and it is occurring and happening to you and your family, please seek help. At the end of our show, you're going to see in our credits different places that you can go to seek help for this problem that is going on. And if you can't, just call 911. It is very, very important. Again, thank you for viewing the Casting Couch, and we will see you next week. Godspeed.
The proceeding was a paid presentation for the Casting Couch, brought to you by APAC, the African American Performing Arts Community Theater.